Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Key to Growth podcast. I'm your host, Jen McKee, and I'm so excited about this guest today because he actually happens to be one of our clients. And it was just so fun the first time that we met him. I kind of want to tell this story, but he was saying that he loved this other home services company, social media, and I got to say, oh, we do that one too. So it ended up working out for us. But today I have Mehdi Khachani, and why don't you tell people who you are? Introduce yourself.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for having me. So I'm the CEO and the founder of Sunny Bliss. I have the long career leading into the home services space, but I'm based here in Miami where I live with my 2 kids and wife. And let me see, where do I start? Especially,
We can start. But okay, so one really cool thing about Mehdi, and I think a lot of you guys listening will probably relate to this, is he is like a growth hungry person. And so even just looking at, I have people write their bio, like his bio is extensive in the amount of things that you've done and how you've gotten here. And so why don't you give us kind of like short-term like story, long story short, but how did you end up with this HVAC and plumbing company?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I'm a licensed general contractor in the state of Florida. I still own and operate a remodeling and construction company in the residential space here in Miami. And we spun off actually the plumbing operation out of that company. And so initially it was a plumbing company and we added HVAC to it. And then eventually we rebranded the company and that created Sunny Bliss Plumbing and Air. And we already have our first acquisition under our belts as of January this year.
You just moved so quickly. And I like to start at the beginning with people. But I also just kind of want to touch on this just for like context, because, when we met you, it wasn't even a year ago, like maybe 6 months ago that we met you. You had recently spun off as Sunny Bliss, like you were still switching over your GMB. So this was like fresh. But in doing that, you also immediately invested in a Kick Charge brand, which I know a lot of people hesitate on just because of the investment. From then, you've already added another trade. You've already taken on this acquisition. So like, tell us like your thought process and how you come to like, this is the order that I'm going to do this in. And then like, like all of those things.
I'll start with one thing. First of all, it's exhausting. You want to do it fast. And sometimes I tell myself, maybe I should go slower. We did roll out the brand very quickly. And my thought process there was that it would be more costly if I were to wait until the business is bigger. So in my opinion, I worked with Dan and he did a phenomenal job. But in my opinion, it's always easier to do it sooner than later. But I push for growth a little bit too aggressively. And because
is it though? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like you. I take risky, like big investments because I know that growth will, like if I act as where I want to be, I'm going to get there faster than if I just like kind of drag my feet.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's also a personality trait. I'm kind of
So we're the problem?
Absolutely. So I was reviewing, actually, we do a lot of training with the team and I was educating them on the disc profile and we do personality tests. As high of a D as it gets. So almost 100%. And then it goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
And then I, and then S, and then the C. So it's my personality. I like to get busy, but I'm also learning from experience that it's good to slow down. What I was thinking is maybe incur some of the investment and expense up front and then slow down from there. But I know as soon as things stabilize, I'm like, okay, I'm in a good place. And my poor wife, she has to deal with this. I'm going to find the next thing to work on.
Yeah. It's like, people ask those questions like, oh, if you were to sell your business tomorrow, like, what would you do? And I'm like, I would be so bored. Like, I would go start another business. I couldn't just like not do something. I do this for fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's part of my nature. I think I'm going to work until my last breath. Even if I didn't have to work, just keep doing the same thing.
Right. It's so fun. Okay. So tell us about so you decided right away to do this branding. So how has that been received? Like how did that impact you? Have you seen the impact already? Like this is pretty new for you. I mean, mean, 6 months, right? About maybe?
Yes, no, absolutely. It's relatively fresh. Yeah, around 6 months now. So I'm very happy I did it. To be honest, I had to convince my wife because she was attached to the prior brand. It's very hard, when you've invested time and energy into building a brand to be like, okay, let me start all over. And I had to change the name, change the logo, all of those things. But now that we're seeing the outcome, we're very happy about it. Yesterday, I went to a training on variable speed systems, and I saw all the vans side by side.
Yeah.
Different companies, dealers participate. And I could tell you, like the Sunny Bliss one stood out. It was a bunch of white vans with blue or black or red writing on them. And then you see that Sunny Bliss pop in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was very nice. Branding is very important. I'm studying home services and hearing from some of the most successful people. And they say sometimes branding is even more important than marketing. And when the importance, they say branding, then marketing, then sales, then possibly operations. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. Branding is the foundation. And what you don't want to do is be spending a lot of money for people to remember you. Anytime you're putting money into PPC, let's say, you're investing in your brand. And that the cost per click is going to be a lot higher if the brand is not memorable. When you have a strong brand and you're recognized in certain area, what will happen is people will start looking for your name. And just a side comment there. And it's something that I was not necessarily comfortable with. I have about 20 billboards around Miami, and we have 12 trucks. None of those have our cell phone or phone number. That tells you about the power of the brand. Really, what we're trying to do is for people to associate us with plumbing and air conditioning.
Yeah. Okay. So you've owned multiple businesses before this. So what have you, is the marketing the same to you, or are there things that you did? Is this how you've always moved? Because even saying, you've invested in these billboards, you have these trucks, obviously the branding, you've invested in all these other marketing channels. Have you always moved like that in branding? In marketing, or are there things that you did in your other businesses that you have or haven't applied yet to this one?
Yes, no, absolutely. I would say the short answer is no. This is a very unique business. I see home services almost like a consumer goods product.
Right.
You can supermarket, you want to buy toothpaste. If you think about toothpaste, you're gonna Colgate's, Crest, and Palmolive. There are very few brands that own a certain category, and you look at the packaging and what appeals to you. I think when people choose home services, it's essentially the same process. The other two businesses that I own are the general contracting business, the construction one, and the products is a lot more complex, and it's a lot of consultation to get the customer to be on board and move forward. So the sales process is very different. And then the third one is property management. And again, it's a different type of target customer. These are very often sophisticated investors, and it's a different type of conversation.
Yeah. So how did you got into this business, and how did you know what to do in your marketing? What moves did you take, and how did you come up with those ideas?
One thing I often say is when you're in school and you copy on the student next to you, getting trapped. In business, it's the opposite rule. You don't bend the wheel. So I spent so much time listening to podcasts and people who have done what I'm doing, but 10x or 100x. Those are the people I listen to, and success leaves clues, and I see what they've done, and I just try to replicate it. I've gotten in touch with some of the leaders in the industry, and they've been very generous in giving me their guidance on what to do and what not to do.
Yeah. So I love that actually, because I'm kind of the same way. I like to ask a lot of questions, and I'm not afraid to just reach out to people that I don't know, or even that I do know. Sometimes I think about it. I'm like, am I too comfortable with this? Or I'll just call somebody and be like, okay, here's what I'm dealing with. Tell me. But that's how you get answers. And I say the answer is always no, unless you ask. But so how do you do this? And what should someone do? How do you find these people? What is the first step to this?
That's a very good question. I think we're very similar in that way, Jen. I like to ask questions, and if you don't ask, you're not going to get anything. And sometimes I ask people and they're too busy to answer. And that's fine. You know what I do? I wait a little bit, and then I'll message them again and tell them, hey, we exchanged text messages last time, and I just want to give you an update on my journey. So they see what I try to engage with them. I try to add value. I think LinkedIn is a very good platform to write. Okay. I business owner, if they want to connect with other people in the industry, they should definitely provide updates on a regular basis. I think Pantheon by Sir Steiden is an amazing forum. You see all the big, people in the trades there, and they're available. They do their presentation. You can go talk to them at the end. These are some of the ways, but don't shy away from asking for help. I think these people have been successful and they want to pay it forward. So
I love that. And that's what you're doing here, getting to share the things that you've done.
Absolutely. If anybody needs help and is in the trades and they want to reach out, I'm more than happy. I love people in general, and I have people reach out to me like on a regular basis, multiple times a week. And I jump on a Zoom call and we have conversations. But please feel free to reach out if you want to have a conversation.
For sure. So I want to talk a little bit about your content, because I think that along with the other things that you're doing, you're very engaged in your social media. So I don't think I talk a lot about what we do at Key Heart Marketing, but we have a really collaborative relationship with our clients, and we invite them to document and share everything that they're doing. And then we kind of like turn it into magic. And Mehdi and his team are very, very good at this. And because of that, they constantly have new content, new videos, new things. So, I mean, some people are very uncomfortable with this or don't know where to start. Like, how did you start to feel comfortable putting yourself on camera? How did you get your team bought in? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, first things first, I look up to you. I think you do a phenomenal job. That's inspiring. But the other thing is, I think you acquire that comfort over time.
Mm-hmm.
One of my tricks is I never rewatch anything.
Just throw it out there.
And I send it. And there's no perfection. Like, no matter what you're going to do, if you're a perfectionist, you're going to say, okay, let me do it. And let me do it and do it again. And honestly, the third or fourth time is going to be worse than your first one.
Yeah.
You'll be exhausted. So there is value in imperfection. I think authenticity is more valuable than anything. So just do it and do it regularly, and don't be too tough on yourself, because also some of the imperfections or things that you're not doing as good as you'd like it to be, other people don't care about. The idea, your bigger message or consistency, you know this probably better than anyone, Jen. You have to do it consistently. And if you lower the bar, what you're producing, more consistently and be more successful. And on top of that, I have to admit, Jen and the team, one thing I love is I don't have to think about editing. I don't think about anything. I record a video and I send it, and somehow it turns into something amazing thanks to the work you guys do. And my team, I try to also educate them and train them on that. But somehow, not that I push them or anything, but because it's coming from me, they seem to be more willing to work with me.
Yeah, that's so true. It's definitely about consistency. And you're right. I mean, and I know it's hard because, you know, there's so many people out there who are perfectionists, and it's hard. I'm not a perfectionist, so I don't know what it means when I say, don't overthink it, like just do it, you know, for a perfectionist to hear that. But that's really what it comes down to in really everything in business, right? Like if we wait until we know what we're doing, like you'll never know what you're doing until you just start trying to do it and then kind of like clean it up as you go.
Yeah, there's this analogy that I like very much. It's almost like a story. It's about the two groups of people, and they asked them to make a vase in clay. But they told them, for one group, they told them, hey, we don't want quantity, we want quality.
Yeah.
Perfect vase. And all they had to do is produce one that was perfect. And then they went to the other group and they said, no, for you guys, we don't care about quality, just produce as many as we can. And what they've seen at the end of the experiments is the group that was focused on quantity, because they had done so many of them. The end product, maybe the hundreds, whatever, that had thought was better than the one that the second group did. So
yes, I've heard that. That's in a book. I've heard that story. I love that.
I had no idea. I just love the stories.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah. Okay, so you brought up your team, and I want to kind of bring that in because marketing doesn't live an island. And so I know before we were even recording, we were talking a little bit about our values, but how do you encourage your team to live your values and provide that kind of service? Like, what does that look like internally?
Yeah, so one thing that we value a lot at Sunny Bliss is training. We train a lot, whether it's in person or through huddles remotely. And anytime, especially on the in-person trainings, that's what I start with. I tell them, look, you see me, any presentation that I have, the first slide is always about values. And I'm not putting this just for decoration. These are things that we believe in. I cannot be involved in every decision. But if you're aligned with our values as you're making these 5 values, I assure you, you cannot be wrong. Just make sure you're aligned with the values. And the values are integrity, we do the right thing, accountability, we show up when we say we're going to show up, then constant improvement. We're always trying to get better. And I think that's a big part of our our philosophy. We're not going to be perfect, but we incorporate the feedback from all the stakeholders we deal with. And then teamwork, I think our team does a very good job working together. You have the CSR working with the dispatcher, working with the technicians, etc. And then the last one is desire to win for ourselves and for the customers. But these are the values. I'm even teaching this to my kids, and they're starting to incorporate it in their day-to-day. I think that's the role of the leader, to make sure that values are very clear to the team, but also we sometimes in the conversations, when we hear about stories or interactions or wins, we bring up the values and we say, hey, in this specific situation, we demonstrated constant improvement or accountability or desire to win, etc.
Yeah, that's great. We recently have started rolling out EOS in our team, and that one of the things is like figuring out how to live your core values every day. And that's one of the ways to do that is to constantly just tie everything back to the core values and how you were living them out with all the things that you're talking about. So
absolutely. I use it also with customers. We just did the acquisition, and some of the customers don't want change. This company that we acquired was in business since 1990, and they've been working with them since then. And there's a new guy. And, and some of them tell us, no, we're not going to book with you. I call them and I introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I'm the owner. I just wanted to let you know who we are and stuff. And one of the easiest conversations or things that I've been able to try to transition into is telling about our values. Look, of course, I talk about all the other stuff that we do, but then I switch to the values and I tell her, look, this is what we stand for. And by giving us a chance, this is what we'll deliver on. And I think it's something they appreciate.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the acquisition, because I think that that's also like kind of a strategic marketing move, right? Because so you guys acquired their phone number and their customer list?
Yes.
So
it's an asset purchase. So there are typically two ways. You can either get shares in the legal entity of the company you're acquiring, or you can just buy their assets, which you control the liability.
So what made you decide to do that? And then you already mentioned kind of like how you started to pull it together, but what was kind of the decision making behind that?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, Jen, the reality is it comes down to marketing, right? I mean, the first thing is I'm in a hurry. Somehow I want to do things faster. It's painful. It's a lot of, challenges along the way, but that's the route that I choose. So the reality is that it can help you accelerate the growth. And it's maybe counterintuitive, but it's cheaper to buy growth than to grow organically. And when you get that database, there is a cost for customer acquisition. And that cost is a lot lower if you look at how many customers you're getting through the database.
Right.
And you incorporate the purchase price. That cost per customer is a lot lower than if you were to get that customer through PPC or GLSA or any of the other mediums.
So, I mean, you mentioned like there's some people who are like, no way, I'm not doing it. Like probably almost feel betrayed a little bit. But do you have like some data on how many you were able to convert into Sunny Bliss?
I think I've heard all sorts of numbers.
Yeah.
The ones that I mentioned are really a minority of diehard.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Wanted and stuff. So it's not really the most of the people are welcome. Some of them are excited because we're increasing the scope. Before they were doing just HVAC with the prior company and not HVAC and getting plumbing on top of that. Most people are excited. But I would say if I had to estimate, I think we're going to keep 80%.
Nice.
Ken Goodrich, when he does, who's a legend in air conditioning, when he does his evaluation of what he's willing to pay, he assumes that he's going to lose half of the customers, which is conservative. I think I've heard Tom Howard from these say that they keep between 80 and 90% of the customers. And I think that's exactly where we're going to land. The thing is, you're a known entity. What's even the ones that are giving us a hard time, I'm like, what's their alternative? And me specifically, it's so hard to find.
Yeah.
You're going to, instead of going with the company that's been vetted by the seller and chosen as the company that's going to take over his legacy, you're going to go with a completely random company just to make a point.
Right.
That's a reasonable approach.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like just doing it to prove a point. But okay, so you mentioned that you even called some of these people. So when you guys did this acquisition, like how did you introduce yourself? Like what was the system for bringing them in to Sunny Bliss?
Yeah, so it's a combination of touch points. I'm going to try to give you as comprehensive of a list as possible. I think email marketing is an important one. So you get email, that's the cheapest one.
Yeah.
And you can have multiple for communications around the acquisition. The second one is, and I started with email marketing because it's the most affordable one.
Yeah.
Second one I would say is the ringless voicemail.
Yeah.
Which,
who are you guys using for that? Do you guys use Chirp? Yeah.
There are other alternatives, but we Chirp. Something that's very important as you're acquiring a business, one of the first things you want to do is do a recording of the prior owner, essentially talking about the acquisition and validating you as the right choice for.
Oh, that's so good.
I had for him, boom. We got 8,000 customers. So
oh my gosh, like even a Zoom, you know, like this, where it's like both of y'all on the screen, that could have been cool, like a little interview.
Yeah, it's not too late. Honestly, I talked to him.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Like if you're trying to build a relationship with someone, don't only reach out to that person when you need them.
Yeah.
If someone is helping you, just going back to them, like without any expectation. Hey, I wanted to let you know that this and this and this happened. I called the owner this morning. He's still involved with us, but not as much as the first month.
Yeah.
I told him I didn't have to do it. I have plenty of things on my plate, but I still called him, checked on him. Hey, how are you doing with the transition? This and that, because retirement is not easy for everybody.
Right.
I told him, hey, these are the sales we've done and stuff, just to engage with him because that relationship is so important. I think that's something that you want to keep going. And when you mentioned the video with the owner, that's something we might do in the future.
Yeah.
The podcast we both.
Yeah, like this, and you could send that out in the email, you know, and so then it's even more
exactly
like trusting and just like kind of building that again. So okay, sorry, keep going. So you did email, you did the ringless voicemail,
direct mail, super important. You know, we sent 3, actually 2 by now, and then we're sending a third one down the road. But we sent a letter from the prior owner, and then a letter from me. Both letters come with coupons, and then we're gonna do a third letter down the road. I mean, just that has cost me around 15,000, just the letters.
Yeah.
And then what else? These are really the main ones. Text message. Text message is a little bit delicate, so
yeah, for sure.
Careful on that side. But email, direct mail, voicemail, ringless voicemail, and yeah.
That's awesome. That's so great. And I think that, you know, the acquisitions are becoming more and more, I don't want to say like popular because that sounds kind of silly, but it's especially as people start to age out of their business or even wanting to run a business, or maybe there's all different reasons that people sell, right? And so being able to add on the customer list, like you said, like the assets, that's a great way to bring more visibility, especially when you're trying to grow quickly like this. So
100%.
I think that's helpful. How did you find them?
I found them on listed online.
Oh, okay. So they had listed their business already.
Yeah, listed online. But I'm talking to 5 to 10 owners at a time.
Yeah.
Keeping the relationship going. The reality is that we're going to see all the baby boomers are going to retire.
Right.
And they don't do marketing. They don't do a lot of things. They're not comfortable with technology. There's a massive opportunity. It's not because it's trendy that these acquisitions are happening. These acquisitions are happening because out of necessity.
Right.
Need to retire. A lot of need to retire, and they don't. Some of them end up folding their companies. So when you come in and offer them a transition into a retirement, you're doing them a favor.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Win for the customer as well, because they're coming in and being able to get taken care of a company like Sunny Bliss that prioritizes the customer experience and your team experience and all of those things.
Yes.
All right. So what would you say is like the most, this is going to be a hard question, but like, what do you think is like the most efficient marketing that you guys have done so far, or that you're like seeing or heard of that someone else has done that you guys are working on trying to implement?
Yeah. So the number one marketing tactic, and it's, I think, the most affordable one, but I don't think you can start a business without doing that. I advise a lot of people who are interested in doing business and stuff. For me, is hands down Google My Business. Like, don't even think about it. Like, if you don't have a solid Google My Business account, everything else is obsolete. You actually are better off having no websites and just Google My Business than a website and no Google My Business. So for me, it's the foundation, because the data from that location is going to propagate to other places. And then another one that's very important, and I think, you see, we talk about constant improvements as a value. This is something I recognize I've made a mistake. We got 20 billboards, and I tried to concentrate them in where we are, but it wasn't concentrated enough. And I had billboards that are far, not even that far, but far from the cluster that I want to focus on. And that's my second tip. Don't stretch too thin. Find that one neighborhood going to come across as you dominated. You're the only company. What's going to happen? I mean, in marketing, it's all about touch points.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the brand that people associate with the category. Okay, plumbing, boom, Sunny Bliss.
Yeah.
But for that association to happen, you need as many touch points as possible. So, and touch point could be your van driving around. Could be a plug sign, could be a billboard, could be a Google ad. There could be a lot of, nowadays, for someone to take action and for you to start becoming memorable, you need 14 touch points. That's why the brand is so important, because if your name is JMK, a bunch of letters put together, which was the prior name we had, you're pretty much a lot more of the same as everybody else. Whereas it's an experience, it's a logo, it's an image that's associated with it. So to summarize, go very narrow. Even we're talking here about Miami, pick a neighborhood and become the number one home service company in that neighborhood. And then from that point on, once you dominate that one, they're going to see your trucks everywhere because you're going to put ads exclusively in that area.
Yeah.
Then you can spread into neighboring areas.
I love that. You gave us one that didn't work the way you wanted to, which is just part of marketing. It's all testing, figuring things out, and making decisions based on that. So when do you get to move your billboards?
It's so funny you asked the question. It's so relevant because it's been a month now and there is cost associated with reprinting.
Yeah.
When I'm like, is it worth reprinting, changing locations, or I just leave it? And so I'm trying to assess.
Like, it's not hurting you as far as like being there, but it's not helping the goal that you have, which is to saturate an area so that they see you everywhere.
Exactly. So I'm trying to saturate. And if I were to do it again, I would get super narrow.
Yeah. Do you guys do anything community-wise?
That's another area where we can do a lot better. But because we've had other lower hanging fruit activities, I mean, I sit on the board of the Miami Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Right. That's right. You guys do. That's awesome.
And we sponsor all the local schools. So every that comes out of the school has our logo in it and the link. So we do a few things, but not as much. And my role as the visionary for the company and the spokesperson in some way would be to shake hands and be present in the community. But I'm dealing with some
doing acquisitions and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a lot.
That's awesome. Okay, I love this. I think this has been so incredible for any of our listeners. But before we end the podcast, we ask everybody the same question, which is, you are on the Key to Growth podcast. So what is the key to growth?
Key to growth is, I'm going to conclude with that same point. Narrow your focus and dominate a small area rather than spreading your resources too thin, because that success in a small area is the initial condition that can help you spread into other areas.
I love that. So if people, I know you already said earlier, like to have people reach out, but tell people where they can find you, where they can find Sunny Bliss.
No, absolutely. You can, the website is sunnybliss.com, the email info@sunnybliss.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Mehdi Khachani, and my email is mehdi@sunnybliss.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Really enjoyed this conversation.
Same here. Thank you for having me, Jen.
Thanks.